From Season 3, Episode 4, titled There and Back Again. I think the title's an obvious nod to Tabitha having left and come back. We start with the ambulance, where we have a police officer named Acosta and two paramedics. Victor's father is there as well. Tabitha inspects the surroundings and can see she's back. Back at the Matthews house, the phone rings. Ethan picks it up, and the entity pretending to be Thomas talks to him. He warns him that his mother's in trouble and coming back in an ambulance, and she'll need help. Jim takes the phone, speaks to the entity for a moment, and then rips the phone off the wall. We get the realization that, just like the power, the phones aren't really plugged into anything. Back at Colony House, nobody wants to clean up the dead crow that burst through the window during Fatima's tarot reading. They think that it has a lot of bad juju assigned to it. Donna interrupts the ladies being snippy with each other. Marianne checks in on Fatima. She says that she's looking better and it looks like she's been eating, and we take this to believe that Fatima's continued to eat the rotten food behind everybody's backs. Victor tells Sarah a story about the house that she lives in, about from when Victor was a child. She's given him all the blankets, and they're going to build a fort so he can tell her a story. In the ambulance, the paramedics make note about how their GPS has no signal, and Tabitha pleads with them to continue forward. Boyd and Randall have a conversation on the bus, and we learn that Randall's just as damaged as Boyd from all the things that he's seen in the town, and we can tell that Randall's committed to helping the cause. Christy and Kenny talk about seeing things. Tai Chen, they comfort each other, and then Jade wakes up. He drinks from his flask and offers to tell them a story. Victor and Sarah have built their fort in the basement. They get in, and Victor starts to tell the story about what's in the briefcase that he dug up. He talks about the time when everybody was killed, and he took something from everybody to remember them, and he buried it so that it wouldn't get lost. He tells Sarah that he needs her to be here while he tells the story because he's going to remember some scary stuff, and he thinks she's the scariest person in town. It's now dark. Randall and Boyd are on the bus waiting for the monsters, and Randall tells Boyd that the monsters haven't been following their patterns. Normally there's one already tapping on the front window of the bus trying to get him, and it hasn't happened yet. The ambulance arrives in the town. The monsters do the old dead body in the road trick. That gets both paramedics to come out and investigate. They're killed, and they don't even have name tags, these guys. When the cop Costa sees the monster murder the men, she opens fire to no success, and then she eventually runs out of the scene. Boyd and Jim make a trip to the ambulance. Jim and Tabitha reunite. Boyd doesn't have keys to the handcuffs, so Randall goes to get the toolkit from the bus. Costa is running for Colony House. She takes some shots at more monsters, but ends up shooting through the window of Colony House, hitting Nikki. Marianne attempts to save Nikki, and Costa is led into Colony House. Acosta has a freak out because, one, it's like the first time she's exposed to the monsters, and two, she just shot Nikki, so she's really got a lot going on. Randall gets the tools to Boyd, but is attacked by the bugs that he hallucinates again. A monster gives Boyd the keys in exchange for Randall. The monster says he can't save everybody, and Boyd takes the keys, and he drives the ambulance towards Colony House. Marianne gets the bullet out of Nikki. The ambulance arrives at Colony House. Victor's father, Boyd, Jim, and Tabitha make it inside safe. Boyd takes in the situation. Back with Jade, he finishes the story of the things he's been seeing. They reminisce about Kenny's mom. They tell nice stories and are interrupted by a thumping outside. Victor remembers when the townspeople died. He goes through the items one by one, telling stories. Then he remembers too much and has a little bit of a freak out. Boyd tells Donna that he abandoned Randall in exchange to get the Matthews out of there. In a bedroom of Colony House, Jim gets caught up on Tabitha's wild adventure. They're all interrupted. Nikki starts coughing blood up, and then she dies. Boyd yells at the cop for killing Nikki. Donna interrupts and yells at Boyd. She takes him upstairs. When they are alone, Donna has a breakdown. She's clearly reached a tipping point. Victor tells a story of a man named Christopher who had a ventriloquist doll, and they show a scene of Victor catching the man talking to the doll and the doll talking back, clearly inhabited by an entity. When saying goodbye, Fatima ends up sticking her finger in Nikki's bullet wound and like eating the goop that comes out on her finger. I think this is showing that like like the baby might be like a physical form, like of an entity or something, and it like feeds off of death. Her storyline's getting pretty crazy, Fatima. Boyd and Donna drink. They look outside and see the ambulance with the lights on and Randall strapped to the hood. He's been torn up but is still alive. This is where the episode ends.